Okay.
So we're joined again by my friend Ameka Coleman, founder, owner of Strands of Faith. Just such an incredible business with such a great mission and such a great product. We thank you so much for joining us. This is joining us for the second time, and a lot of
Yeah.
things have happened since then, which we'll definitely talk about. But this is our entrepreneurship class. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for fitting us in your busy, busy schedule.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Glad to be here again.
Now, obviously, we've seen your great segment with Kayla Thompson, and we've seen your website, some of the things you sell. But just give us a little background because you are originally from the Jackson area, and you came up with this product because you noticed a problem.
Yes. So my business is Strands of Faith. We are a purpose-driven brand. We create and manufacture products for dry, textured hair types, kinky, curly, coily, wavy, to help with your moisture and your length retention. And we launched in 2018. I saw a gap in the market. I wanted to create clean, effective products that work. And that's how we got started. And now we're going into year 8. Time is flying, but it's been a amazing journey. I'll say that.
Yeah, and you noticed, you were having issues with your own hair. Now, obviously, I joke around, but I'm completely dumb when it comes to hair issues in the African American female community. So obviously, you saw a big need for this, and you decided to start this business because of your own struggles.
Right, yes. And so for me, I had a hard time maintaining the moisture in my hair. Like tighter, cool hair, the sebum and the oils from the scalp have a hard time traveling from the scalp to the ends, and so it leads to more breakage, more dryness. And so I wanted to create some products that was going to solve that issue, but they give me moisture that was lasting for more than like a day. And so, of course, since I had that issue, many other people had the issue as well. But then just the other side of that was creating products that were clean, like, really good ingredients, didn't have all the chemicals and the fillers. Well, all ingredients are chemicals, technically, water is a chemical, but just the cleaner, ingredients. And so I just combined those two, and that's how we came up with the solution.
Yeah, and there's actually cool pictures and some videos of you create your own products yourself. So you are
Yes.
not only the owner of the company, you are the creator of the product. So
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to give away your secret formula, but just talk about how you came up with that and what type of things you had to learn to create that.
Yeah, so being a manufacturer of our own products is so fulfilling because I'm a creative at heart, and it gives me the chance to formulate and create from scratch and just play around with different things. But it's funny because when I went to graduate school, I did a year in research in an oncology cancer laboratory. And during that process, I was creating this nanoparticle delivery system where I had to go check on the infusion process. I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but it was that exposure and that awareness that was just really opening my eyes. And down the line, those seeds that were planted actually, gave me the idea to when I was in the kitchen and mixing stuff up, it gave me, that experience and that vision to be able to do so. And so that's how that came about. Yes, I have a science background, but I didn't go to school for product development and manufacturing. That just came by way of, like you said, the need and getting in the kitchen and mixing it up to see what would work. So STEM, the science background, this is where STEM, one of those fields where you probably don't think it can lead to entrepreneurship. Sometimes you may think you're gonna go corporate route, but there's so many different career avenues, and for me, it just landed down the entrepreneurship path. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I got a little started with the manufacturing piece.
Now, and I know me and you know a lot of the same people. We've had several of your friends, or our friends, have spoken on this same platform, and all of them, no matter what business they're in, have kind of said the same thing. Because obviously, you're extremely intelligent and you're great at developing your product, and you saw a need that needed to be met. And a lot of people see that they may be very gifted at creating a product, but at the end of the day, the learning curve of running a business is something that I do not think young people understand because another I've had people on the same platform say, look, I learned all this stuff in college about how to do XYZ. I knew how to do this, but I knew nothing about being in business for myself. So a lot of kids say they want to be entrepreneurs because they say, I want to be my own boss. I want to set my own hours. I want to do things my way. Well, at the
Right.
end of the day, a lot of things that you don't see the glamorous side of on social media that have to be learned no matter who you are. So talk about some of the learning curve that you have as an entrepreneur that everybody's going to have no matter what business they're in.
Oh, that's a really good and loaded question and an important one because, to your point, entrepreneurship, owning a business, is something that can't be taught. I have an MBA. Even at the time when I got my MBA, I didn't have an intention to go to school to own a business. I just went because I like learning. But having said that, having my boots on the ground, the experience is a whole different thing. And that experience and being in the trenches is what's going to teach you to start a business. And so I think sometimes people get discouraged because they may feel like they don't have the proper education or the exposure, but do not be deterred by that because just about everybody starts from the bottom or starts from scratch, but you learn along the way. So you get into it, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't work, you tweak, you optimize, you pivot from there. So there's going to be so many lessons along the way, so many failures. I want to highlight the failures because I think it's very important to expect to fail. That is how you lead to success. You know, a lot of people are so afraid of failing, but just know that if you start the journey of entrepreneurship, you're going to fail almost every day. You're going to get rejected almost every day, get a no almost every day. And so you just learn throughout that process. It's not a perfect process, but it's one that's going to grow you and stretch you in every way imaginable. So yes, it's something that I would say is something that you learn by experience and just be prepared and welcome that experience.
Yeah, no, what we're getting ready to start talking about in this class is knowing your competition. And
Mhm,
obviously this is a very competitive field and it's become more so with technological advances in the last few years. Especially in Mississippi, with the high in the South, there's so many black women looking for natural hair products. It's a very tough to be successful in.
yeah.
But it's also important to know your competition, but finding ways to stand out. Because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I always say the entrepreneur needs the customer more than the customer needs the entrepreneur. So
Hmm.
everybody's going to have competition. So what are some ways that you can make yourself stand out from company XYZ over here that's selling a similar product?
Really, really great question because you have to know and understand that entering business, you're going to have competition. Nobody it's not something that you can get around. Sometimes people are like, who are your competition? I'm like, I don't have anybody. I was like, well, you didn't
Yeah, you do.
research your market good enough because somebody's your competitor. And so the way that you stand out is, and I know this sounds so cliche, but it's so true, is you have to be authentically you. What experiences, what life experiences, what differences, what are things about you that can nobody mimic, can nobody copy? As you said, I'm in hair care. There are a ton of hair care brands, right? And many amazing brands for consumers to choose from. But what makes me different, right? This is Strands of Faith. And so I bring elements of mental wellness, my personal experiences and things into the business. So it's not like we're just selling hair products, but we're bringing experience to that. People buy into people they know, like, and trust and things they can relate to. And so whatever experiences or differences you can bring into your business, do that. A lot of people shy away from that. But when you shy away from it, it's making you the same like everybody else. It's nothing about you that's standing out. And so that's how you differentiate yourself from competitors. There's so many ways you can do so, even down from product, right? But when you start getting to product, that's when it gets tricky because anybody can knock off or recreate a similar product, but nobody can really recreate an experience when it's true to you. Even if they try to, consumers are savvy, they understand what's real and what's not. So you just have to go in it being authentically you. That's how you stand out from your competitors.
Yeah, and along the same lines, before we went to lunch and we began this, they all did some presentations today, and they did a great job. And a skill that cannot be learned enough, especially for anybody wanting to be an entrepreneur, is the art of selling and verbal communication, not only to your employees but to your customers.
Yes.
Because you may have the best product in the world, but if you're too scared to talk about it or too scared to speak about it and sell it, you're not going to make any money. And the
Right.
example I always use, I had another guest on here. I just thought this was so funny. She had written a book and she was at a book fair where all these authors were there and they had spent years of their life and tons of time and all this money trying to get these book published. And she said they were literally sitting at a table waiting for people to come by and buy the book. And she was like, I don't know what they were thinking because, yeah, you can have the best book in the world, but if you're not out there engaging with customers
I
and
love it.
engaging in ways that, and you do such a great job of this, of putting yourself out in the community in different ways, reaching different areas of marketing and selling, it is going to be very, very difficult to make any money.
Yes, no, that's so true. And again, when I say entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, it's one that's going to grow you in every area. When I first started, I was very shy, very reserved. I was introverted. I'm still introverted, but that's more so of a trait that you can work in your favor as an entrepreneur. And so what I learned is that I had to become my biggest advocate. Like you said, nobody's going to sell for you. Nobody's going to go out and get the business for you. You have to be the one who's the face and the biggest advocate and the supporter of your brand. And so I had to learn how to pitch my products, how to pitch to maybe like stakeholders or customers. It's pitching is different, but at the heart of who you are and what you do, just remember your why. And when you know your why through and through, then that's going to be the catalyst and the basis for you to be like, okay, this is going to help me to be able to go out here and to speak about what I have to offer. And then also, it's very important if whatever you have to offer, if you're believing that it's a true solution to the needs of people that's going to help them and impact them, that's enough for you to speak up for it and say, I'm doing this because I want to help, this solution or whatever. So communication, sales, that's something that is essential if you want to bring the awareness and visibility. You can't get around it. It's just a skill you have to learn. But the good thing about it is that it's a skill that you can learn.
Yeah, and it's something that you can always practice. You don't need a college degree for it. It's something that you can literally get from practicing doing things like this. I mean,
Yeah.
me and you are obviously are comfortable being in front of a camera and everything, and that's great. But it's tough when you're trying to be in business for yourself and you're shy and don't want to talk about it. The
Yeah.
world is not going to come find you. You've got to go find the world. Um,
Yeah.
now, obviously, since you joined us last, you had a great achievement. You were at the Good Soil. I think that the Good Soil.
Yes.
Good Soil competition, and you were won the award to get $200,000 for your business, and you were on stage with TD Jakes posing for pictures, which was, you said yourself, I never thought I'd have that kind of platform. So just take us through that journey because the last time you were with us, this wasn't even on your radar, and now you've had this great accomplishment, and and you've now shipped to all 50 states and several countries all over the world, and you're right here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, yes. It's amazing how much can change in such a short amount of time because 2 years ago, you couldn't have told me that I would be on stage pitching and talking to anybody. That was one of the things where I had to push myself. I was like, okay, I can't really grow the business using my own money. How do I get extra money? And so I found out about grants and pitch competitions. And then I was like, okay, this pitch competition is here. This is my means to get some money, but I'm shy. I don't want to speak about my business. So what do I do? Do I just sit here and not get the money, or do I develop what I need to develop to, to have a shot at it? So I did it. I bet on me. I went out there, and I pitched my business in front of, many people that was there. I think it was like 12, it was 10 to 12 finalists. And yeah, so we got on stage, we pitched, we answered questions, and yeah, and I came away with the top prize. It was the most surreal moment of my life because I'm like, oh, it was just mind blowing. Even just taking my mind back there, it was an amazing experience. But what would have happened if I never took that leap? What would have happened if I played small and didn't bet on myself? That wouldn't have happened. And so yes, that was a great transformational experience.
Yeah, and you've been a part of the Jackson Natural Hair Expo where you've been able to, a lot of great big names there that you've been able to network with and talk about your product. So it really is all about betting on yourself because when I saw the media from the Jackson Hair Expo come out, I was like, man, that's pretty freaking awesome to
Yeah.
be rubbing shoulders with some people that big. Now, before I get to their questions, and I got some really good ones, one thing I always like to talk about is I see so many young people that come through this class or one of our graduates, and they'll start a business.
Hmm.
You know, great idea. They've got a great execution of it. Really cool marketing because these kids know how to do all this technology.
Yes.
And but they're thinking like, but the problem is they start thinking like a 17-year-old and not an adult. And their whole mindset is, I don't want to make this too expensive. And they'll start marketing these prices, and I'll immediately tell them, look, I don't even need my hair braided. I can tell you you're not charging enough. And
Right.
it is such a tough game to play, and it's such a scientific game to play. But it is
Yeah.
something that again, knowing your competition. But I always say, if you can offer just a little bit more, you can charge a little bit more.
Hmm.
If people will pay for convenience, people will pay for the story. They will pay for the pretty packaging. Now, you're not ripping anybody off, but you are giving that perceived value of, hey, this is what
Right.
my product is worth. If you pay it, you're going to get a great outcome.
Yes, no, that is so true. You have to go in initially. I think this is one of the most important things, if not the most important. One of the most important things in business is pricing, not underselling yourself, not undercutting yourself, because the thing is, people usually look at competitor prices. What are they charging? So maybe I need to charge around what they charge or a little bit less or a little bit more. That's the fastest race to the bottom because number one, you don't know what type of infrastructure they have set up. You don't know what type of volume they're moving to be able to get certain price breaks. If you're starting out, you're not going to be able to if you buy something and it costs you $3, you should not be selling that thing for $5. Okay. Even if your competitor is selling it for three, maybe they got it for $1. And so you have to price based on your COGS, your cost of goods sold. Like, what does it cost you? Also, build in a profit. When people think about it, just keep this in mind. When you're selling a product, you're not just, paying or getting the money back from what you paid to get that product. You got to pay for marketing, advertising, you got to pay for staff, overhead, rent, every single thing, packaging, shipping. You have to think about all of those things and build it into your cost because what happens is you will pigeonhole yourself to a certain level of growth and then you aren't able to scale past that growth. And so what happens now when you want to go into retail or you want to go to this channel, you don't have the margins to support it because they're going to take their margins off top as well. So pricing is so important and that's something that you just have to change your mentality to think. Number one, don't be counting people pockets. I know we can be that's something that we can look and say, oh, they probably can afford it, or I want to do good. So, and I want to keep my prices, but you can't think about this. Are you running a hobby or a business? Because if you're running a business, the goal is to make money and to make it sustainable. So, yes, pricing is very important.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, I know you talk about this all the time, is yeah, you're in the profit business and you're in it to provide for your children and your family. But at the end of the day, you've been able to get across your message of positivity, of hair positivity. And you've done such an incredible job of that, taking some of the pictures that you take. I think your hair is so cool, all the different ways you do it. But part of your images as a business is, hey, this is the way your hair can look, and you can feel great about it. And this is going, we want people to feel great about the way God made their hair, and it really is so cool the way you have that message.
Thank you. Mhm.
Now, I do have some questions, and I'll get to as many of these as I can. This person is Chandra Alicia Black. She's in 10th grade. She's rocking her natural hair today. Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so she likes it. She asks, "What mistakes did you make early on in your business, and what did you learn from them?"
What mistakes that I make early on? Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like I'm making mistakes now. I feel like I'm making mistakes every day. But early on, if I had to pinpoint one, I would say not trusting myself as much. Like sometimes we feel like we have to go to the gurus and we have to go to the people who've been doing a certain thing longer than us. But what I've learned is that sometimes in the digital space, in the e-commerce space, it can be smoke and mirrors. And if you can't outsource your vision to somebody else, you have to.
There
That's
you
why I say
go.
why is important. You have to know why you're doing it, but you have to know what your vision is. And when you know what your vision is, then you can be able to see whoever you partner with, is this an alignment? And then if it's not an alignment, then you can go a different direction. But that's probably one of the mistakes is that I wish I would have trusted myself earlier on in things that I knew to be true to me.
Yeah, that's so good. I love this question. This is Tredarius Quinn. He's in 10th grade. He's in our band here at Velma Jackson. And he asked, have you ever had a bad review online and how did you deal with it?
A bad review online. So I know in this day and age, sometimes I do see consumers or customers sometimes outing companies when they have bad experiences. Whew, fingers crossed, by the grace of God, we have not had a bad experience to where
Oh,
someone,
wow.
blasted us or anything like that. However, when it comes to bad reviews, if you have a product, there's going to be someone that your product doesn't work for, right? You're not gonna have please the masses across the board. For the majority of our products and our customers, they solve the need and they are effective. But sometimes you may have somebody who a product may not work for their hair or whatever. So the way that I approach this is that anytime maybe somebody writes into customer service, I try to be as hands-on as possible and first of all, our customer service rep, she's reaching out, answering their concerns, but depending on the nature, I'll try to reach out personally myself. I'll try to get on a call and talk. And that in itself, like you'll be surprised, just people are amazed. Like when I get on the phone, it's be some interesting interactions, but it just goes to show that I'm human and I see you as a human. It's bad reviews, you can look at it two ways. Bad reviews are sometimes insight into what you can do better as a business owner, whether it's, a product or service or whatever. So always take that feedback as a way to how can I improve? How can I make it better? If that's something in your control. Sometimes you have people who are nitpick and that's just that. So you have to be able to distinguish between the two. What is this? Is this, something I can work on or is this something that somebody's just doing? So that's kind of how I would handle that in that situation.
That's a great answer. I like this. This is Jameer Mayfield. He's in 11th grade, also a member of our band here. And he asked, what has been the most successful marketing tool you have used?
The most successful marketing tool. Oh, Lord. Haven't been in this game for a short 7 years. It feels like it's been forever. I've been on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, all of these different platforms, and I've seen them change so much, so drastically, so quickly. And so there isn't any one platform or tool, I would say. One thing I will say is that I've learned that the best marketing thing that doesn't change is you. And so I've had to adapt and change, into whatever platforms, keep my marketing strategy tight from me, what I could do, and then just show up at whatever is trending or popping, in that moment. Just like TikTok, they just had a gold rush a couple of years ago. People who leaned heavy into that, they made a killing, right? And so also too, depending on your business, you have to go where your customer is. Your customer may not be on every platform. If you have a product that's geared towards people who are 40 to 60, your audience could maybe Meta, Facebook. If you have a product that's geared towards tweens, it may be TikTok. So the platform of choice, I would say, will come in when you do your market research and see what's the best fit for you and your brand and the product or service you're selling.
I like this one, and this is something that I think a lot of young entrepreneurs mistake. This is Shanaria Lewis. She's in 10th grade, and she asked, "What is the hardest part about this career, and how hard is it to to lose focus and only want to do the fun things and not the things you don't like to do?"
Uh, Very hard. Every single day, you're gonna want to just do the fun, creative things and not the boring, mundane work, the parts that actually keep the wheels rolling. Um, but it's part of it for me. For me, I don't think there's a such thing as balance. I look at things as prioritization. So I prioritize what's needed in that particular moment, that's going to move the needle the furthest, the fastest. And then you said the first part of that was, she said the hardest part of the whole
Hardest
process,
part.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest part is that knowing what to prioritize because you have so many moving pieces, right? At a time, you got so many projects, you got so many things. You like, oh, well, should I take this deal? Should I take that deal? Which way should I go? And so you're having to figure out what's going to make the best, the in that moment what's going to be the best for you. And so I would say that is the most hardest and challenging part, and it doesn't get easier. The more you grow, I feel like that part gets even harder. But you have to create these like mental, I just call them like these mental like boundaries for yourself to say, you know, kind of like a standard for yourself. Because if you're not careful, that's when you lead to burnout because you try to do too much, too soon, all at the same time, all the things. So I say that's the hardest part is just maintaining the prioritization to the things that really matter.
I got time for two more. I like this one. This is Anaya Goins. She's in 10th grade, one of our power lifters here at Velma Jackson. And she asked, what is the best experience you've had with customers as a business owner?
Uh, my customers, they are absolutely amazing. We call them our blesties.
Oh,
And yeah, they are absolutely amazing. Just the stories, the writings, the things that they share, whether it's their hair journey, going from dry to damage, and I'm feeling more confident in it. But even more so the part where, I mentioned the mental wellness piece. Um, we pour into our customers via content, elevating their faith, belief in their self, the mental wellness. And so the stories and the feedback we get around that, that's the part that brings me the most joy. We send I don't think I have it with me, but we send like a little mustard seed in every single order, just to
wow.
remind them to keep the faith and believe in their dreams. And even when they're, going through some tough times. And so sometimes receiving videos of people crying and saying, wow, you don't know how much I needed this in the moment that I received it. Like those are things that warm my heart, and to bring me joy throughout this whole process. So yeah, I would just say we have some amazing customers and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful.
Yeah, and we'll share your website in a second, but if you see the customer testimonials on there, they really are fantastic. That is some of the best customer testimonials I've ever seen, and it really goes to the vision of your business. All right, I got one more. This is Jacayla Cross. She's in 10th grade, and she asks, what is the most important thing you have learned being an entrepreneur?
The most important thing I have learned is to prioritize my mental health. Whew. And having said that, it's funny. I don't know if you've noticed, but just 2 or 3 days ago, I announced a social media fast or a break from my personal pages because the journey can stretch you in really good ways and also in really bad ways. And so you have to know your limit, know what you can withstand, know when, you need to take a break and to pull back. And, I know that can be difficult for business owners because we have a business to run on social, but you have to create that balance. So for my personal pages, I said I'm gonna take this break. I still run the business pages, but I see them as two totally different things. But yeah, just prioritizing my mental health. I think that's something you should do from the start. When I started, listen, I used to do the 60 hours, 70 hours a week, starting out. And sometimes, that's needed in the startup phase. But just take it from somebody who has been there and now I'm on this other side. Take time for you, scheduling things for you because at the end of the day, when your body break down or when your mind just give out, like everything else is going to keep going, right? And so all you have at the end of the day is you. So I prioritizing mental health, that would be my answer.
Awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. I know you got a really busy schedule, but a couple things before we go. Strandsoffaith.com is the website. That's where all of your social media handles are, all of your products, all of everything you sell. Great content. A lot of uplifting things on there, and you can see those great customer testimonials. So I did get that address right, correct?
Yes.
Strandsoffaith.com.
Faith.com, correct. Yes.
Now, the last thing before we go is obviously your positivity for the way people feel pours over into your business so much. So obviously, if kids are wanting to be an entrepreneur, how much should they focus on really changing people's lives for the better in order to make that profit come?
I think that needs to be the main and number one priority and focus. Like you can't enter business with the mindset of I'm in it just to make money because that's going to be the quickest way to burn out and to want to give up. Because guess what? Sometimes the money is not going to come. Sometimes it's going to be lower than you projected. You have to have a deeper purpose as to why you want to keep going. And so it's super important to be in it to be a service of people. If you get in business with a servant heart, then the profit is going to come, the money is going to come. All the things that you got in it for is naturally going to come and it's not going to feel forced because you're doing it from that place of serving. So absolutely, get in business whenever you do it. Think of it from a place of impact. How can I impact and make this person's life better?
Love it. And you've done that for so many people. But again, we thank you so much for joining us, my friend Ameka Coleman, founder, owner of Strands of Faith. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I talk to you soon, buddy.
Bye.